Welcome back. In this part 2, we'll bring the cardinal to life with color and detail and add to our background.
And add the second layer of red and the red and chocolate mix. Now I will add the black mask.
For the beak, I'm going to be mixing bright orange with a little bit of white, and later on I'll add some red to the beak.
I'm going to fill in part of his little feet.
Moving back to the eye and the feet, I've mixed a little bit of black and white for a gray, and I'm going around the pupil, and I will also add some highlights on the feet. For the background, I want to add some faraway trees. So I'm going to use my liner brush, and I'm going to use white paint and dipped into Thicket, which is the green-gray paint, and just make some random branches. As you will notice, I've turned my painting upside down as I like to pull the branches towards myself. It just makes it easier, and I find you can get a fine point at the end of the branches. I will be painting the top of the canvas with True Red paint. And since I want some texture, I'm going to be using a sponge dabber. You can get these at the dollar store. So I'm just picking up some paint with the dabber and pouncing onto the canvas. And I will also do the edges. And then let it dry before adding the second layer.
I'm going to be adding a second layer of the red on the canvas, but I'm also going to add a little bit of the bright orange. Now, when I do the busted canvas, most of this section here I will not be able to see because it's going to be curled. So I'm going to be seeing the flip side over here. So I don't need to concentrate on this area much. It's basically the edges. So it'll be like the frame. I'm going to dab into the red. Now I'm going to dab into the orange paint. And I'm just going to work it in. So I have two colors, but it's not distinctive. It's just a hint of the orange. I'm going to be using a stipple brush. Some people call it a deerfoot brush. This is a number 4. I'm going to use white, and I'm going to add some snow to the background to start with. Then I will build the evergreen trees and then finish the bird. So I'm not wetting my stipple brush. So you can see I'm just running the brush back and forth. And you can add as much or as little as you want, just to give it some background snow. The appearance of little drifts, I guess. Once this is dry, we can go back in with white on a liner brush just to define the snow a little bit more, or to add a little bit more highlight. Okay, I think that's good for now. Now, while I have this stipple brush, I'm going to go into my white again. And going to add some snow to this big branch. You can use the snow to hide your feet. I'm going to set aside the painting for a few minutes, And I'm going to Mod Podge the inside and the front or the top of the canvas. That way it could be nice and dry by the time I'm ready to do the busted out canvas part. So today I'm using Mod Podge satin, just to give it a little bit of a shine. And I'm using a foam brush. The Mod Podge will give it a little bit of a shine, but it also protects the paint. For the evergreen tree branches, here and here, I'm going to be using Thicket. So I'm going to have 3 puddles of paint. Thicket with black with a little bit of white. And I'm going to use a fan brush. This is a number 4. You can use different sizes. I also have a tiny one. I might use that one for these branches down here. Going to use my palette knife and mix the black with the Thicket. A little bit darker. I want 3 contrasting colors. And I'll mix the one with the white. So I'm going to start with the dark value. Again, I'm going to turn my painting upside down. And I'm going to basically tap onto the branch. Now, keep in mind, again, I'm going to be losing about an inch and a half. So I'm basically going to see the tips of the branches. The rest will be hidden behind the frame of the canvas. I'm going to go in a downward motion. And they're going to be longer as they go further down the tree. These are simple little evergreen branches. And I'm going to now dip into, I won't clean the brush. I'm going to keep it loaded with the first mix. Now I'm going straight into the Thicket. Again, hitting it on my palette, just to spread the brush out a bit. So it's a nice fan. And I'm going on top, but I'm not covering all of the first layer. This time I'm just basically hitting the top part of the branches. And then we will be going in with some snow. If you want, you can add a little bit of the greenery in the background here. And then same, I'm going to go into the mix that has the white. I'm going to wipe most of the paint off of this brush, and then I'm going to dip into the white. I might as well add the snow in at this point. So I'm going to start just on the top and the tips for now and see how that looks before I add any more. And once the first layer is dry, you can always go back and add more snow. And while you have this fan brush out, you can add more snow to your background. Okay, I better leave it alone for now. I can get carried away with snow. Okay, now moving on to this little tree. So I'm going to, again, start with the darker value, the black mixed with the Thicket. Get my palette. And then go into straight into the Thicket. And you can use any green, or you can add yellow if you want to your evergreens. And of course, once this is dry, you can go in and add more details. Using my stipple brush, I'm adding a little bit of snow to these little branches. I'm going to mix some brown, some dark brown, to the red color to give me a deeper color. So I'm going to create some shadows on the red part first, on the lighter red part. And I'm using a liner brush. And I'm going to start with the crown of his head. So I'm doing little strokes. As you can see, I'm just doing going in the direction of the feathers.
To make it easier, you can take your tracing paper and then put the white transfer paper underneath and trace out more of the details, especially on that top wing.
I think I'm happy with the first shadows. Now for the darker red, I had mixed the red with brown, or dark chocolate I should say. This time I'm thinking I'm going to add a little bit of black. So that's what I have so far with the shadows. So I'm taking longer strokes on the back tail to create the illusion of some long feathers. Part of the tail will be covered by the canvas, but I will paint it as if it's not covered. Brush dipped into the white. And I'm going to give his eye a little highlight. Okay. I'm just going to add more black here and underneath this wing. I think with the bird and feathers, you can play with it all day long.
I will end part 2 here, and when we come back for part 3, we will finish the cardinal and the busted out canvas. I hope you'll continue watching.